All right, here's a video on why they do the red color code. Why gang stalkers use color code.
Hello, Silla Mask here with another video, and today I will be talking about sensitization slash classical conditioning. The whole objective of sensitization, classical conditioning on the gang stalking victim is basically a continuation and perpetuation of fear in the victim. The gang stalkers want to keep this going.
And I just want you to let you know that they have taught this to communities all across the nation.
Even when the gang stalkers are not there to gang stalk you. And the way they accomplish this is through classical conditioning. And in classical conditioning, you usually have three things. You have the target, a stimuli trigger, then you have a shock or a trauma. We'll go over our first example, which is this rat here. Let's say this rat is minding his business, and we're going to do an experiment on the rat. So, as this rat is minding his business, we introduce an electrical shock, and we shock the rat. But as we're shocking this rat, we're also introducing a sound, a tone. Then what we do is we repeat it constantly for several days or even weeks, where every time we introduce the electrical shock on the rat, we also introduce a stimuli or trigger, which is the tone, a sound. What begins to happen is that every time you shock this rat electrically, it freezes in fear. After several repetitions of this, the experimenter now eliminates the electrical shock. The experimenter now just introduces one thing, the tone. And every time you introduce a tone though, the rat remembers the electrical shock and it freezes in fear, simply just hearing the tone. At this point, the rat responds in fear simply to just the tone. At this point, the tone is a trigger for fear inside the rat. Now, let's talk about the target, the targeted individual. With the targeted individual, let's say the gang stalkers now want the victim to respond in fear to red hats. So what they do is they have people wearing red hats, and then they just make sure to let you know that they are not part of the general public, that they are there to gang stalk you. Now the stalking itself serves as a shock or a trauma. And then what they do is they repeat this combination of shock trauma where they're stalking you and they're using a red hat, and they repeat it for several days, sometimes even weeks. Then they stop. But once they stop, what happens to the gang stalking victim is, even now, if they see a red hat in the general public, by chance. It will trigger a fear response in the victim without the gang stalker being present at all. Or even worse, the gang stalking victim could be confused and actually believe that the innocent person with the red hat is a gang stalker, when in fact is just a person in the general public. And the gang stalkers, what they do is they introduce many stimuli or triggers into the victim. And the idea is that every time the victim sees the stimuli or triggers, they basically will trigger a response of fear without the gang stalkers being present anymore. And there is a way to cope with this, and I will talk about that